would like to talk this week about the importance of the Shema. Hear, O Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Adonai is our Elohim. Adonai is one. Rambam lists this commandment sixth in his listing of the 613 commandments of the Torah. Yehoshua was asked what the greatest commandment was, and he responded by quoting the Shema. There are a few things I would like to look at today regarding this Shema. The first thing is the word Shema itself. What does it mean? Its common translation is hear, but as with many Hebrew words, there's a deeper level to this word. On this deeper level, it carries the idea of hearing with the intent of obeying the instructions given. Pardon me. I'm sure those of us who had mothers heard something similar to, "You'd best heed my words." That's kind of what it means. The next thing I'd like to look at is the word we say as Adonai. In the Hebrew text, this is a four-letter name of the Most High. It's Yud, He, Vav, and He. It appears around 7,000 times in the Tanakh, which many people falsely call the Old Testament. Sad. And it saddens me greatly that this is one of the most divisive topics among those professing faith in the Almighty and in His Torah. Do we say it? How do we say it? Must we say it? If you don't say it the way I say it, you're wrong. It's awful. The congregation my wife and I attend has a policy of not pronouncing this name in our assemblies. There's no command given in the Torah that I've read anyway that says we must pronounce the name, and especially we must pronounce it a particular way where we're sinning. And I believe that we need to be very careful that our liberty to do things in the kingdom is not used to offend our brother. Our rabbi at our congregation has Jewish ancestry, and because of that, he does not pronounce the name. He has actually told people that it's like sticking a dagger in his heart when he hears people say the name as they pronounce it. And I choose not to be offensive to my brother, to my leader. Next, well, that's all I have to say about that. Next, I'd like to look at the word Eloheinu. This word is a masculine plural construct form of the Hebrew noun Eloah with the pronominal first person common plural suffix attached. Eloah is best translated as mighty authority, quote unquote, rather than God. God, I believe in God. Well, the Hindu believes in God. The pagan believes in God. And all of it. Which one? The plural, as I said, is Elohim. And this is often translated as gods, judges, or God referring to the God. Elohim is used by the Almighty in Exodus 7:1 when he says Moshe will be Elohim to Pharaoh. Translators have had problems with this for many centuries. A lot of this problem is caused by the fact that many translators, especially Trinitarians, try to impose their meaning on this word, of the duality of the Almighty. Yet, they do not see Moshe as a dual being. So what do we do with this? Why would the Almighty use Elohim instead of Eloah when speaking about Moshe in regard to Pharaoh? To fix this problem, they add the word like in their interpretations, not necessarily their translations of the passage, but in their interpretations, they add the word like to this passage in Exodus chapter 1, verse 7, verse 1. Now I'd like to do something that I have not done before, and I would like to go to my Bible program that is online called Blue Letter Bible. And let me make this full screen here. Okay, now, if you will notice, I have this set to the home page of blueletterbible.org. And I have typed in Exodus 7:1. You can type any passage you want to. You can type a word. For example, if I type H259, it takes me to that word. So let's go back here to Exodus 7:1. Let's look at something. One of the things I really like about this program, it's online, so it's always available to me. Even I use this on my phone when I'm out and about looking up something. I can go over here to an interlinear, and I can pop this passage up. And we see it in the Hebrew. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Re'eh netaticha Elohim leFaro, va'Aharon achicha yehyeh netvi'echa. And the Lord said unto Moshe, see, I have made thee a God, is the way they have it translated here. And Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aharon, thy brother, shall be thy prophet, his Navi. Now, as I said, Trinitarians like to add the word like in there, but it's not there. It's not like Elohim. The lamed prefix here, this right here, can mean to or like in interpretation. Let us look at, we'll go back here to chapter 4. Whoops, sorry, I hit it once too many times. All right, now let's go down here to verse 16. And he, that being Aharon, shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. Let us notice the interlinear. Lelohim, like, or to, as, in place of Elohim. We didn't see that in 7:1. So that argument is an invalid argument. It's an attempt to fix a problem that does not exist. And it violates the text, as we've seen, because it adds a word that's not there in the Hebrew. So, in this verse, in 7:1, the Almighty tells Moshe that Aharon will be his prophet or spokesman before Pharaoh, and that Moshe will be an elohim to Pharaoh. The texts of the two passages show that Moshe will be like Elohim to Aharon, but he will be an Elohim to Pharaoh. In Exodus 7:1, and I believe also in the Shema, this quandary that the interpreters and translators have is fixed by just following the Hebrew text and its simple meaning. You don't have to twist it around to make it mean something different. I think that it's used in what we call the plurality of majesty, or instead of the plurality of number. We see this in the fact that Moshe became an immensely powerful figure to Pharaoh. And we also see this in the fact that the Almighty is our ultimate authority in all things. The final thing I'd like to examine from the Shema is the word echad. It is often pointed out that echad means a compound one or a compound unity, and yachad means a singular one. Pardon me. Love water. However, when we look at a Hebrew lexicon, we find quite the opposite. Echad is Strong's number H259, and yachad or yachad is Strong's number H362 and 361. I use Strong's numbering system because it is widely accepted and used in other lexicons. The definitions given in Strong's Analytical Concordance series are quite limited in scope. The basic purpose, and they serve the purpose for what they were designed. It gives the root meaning of the word, and then it gives the way that it's used throughout the scriptures. I believe it's better to use a scholarly lexicon like Asinius, Brown Driver Briggs, also known as BDV, and the Hebrew Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament, also known as Halot, Halot, or something on this level of scholarship when looking up meanings of words in the Hebrew scriptures. But Strong did implement a very good numbering system that is recognized among scholars and students alike. And why not take advantage of it? It's very helpful. He did a great job. I'm not dissing it. Now, I want to go back to our screen here. Now we're going to go to the Hebrew word echad, H259. Enter. And echad. It's from the root echad, H258, and it's an adjective. And here gives the ways that it's used and how it's used, the number of times it's used as each form in the King James Version. But I want to look at this. one, the number one, each, every, a certain, a or an, as in the indefinite article, only, once for all, one, another, the one and the other. It's used this way in the Torah when it talks about the 2 daily sacrifices of the lamb. The one is offered in the morning and the second one is offered in between the 2 evenings. And we see other ways it's used. What I like about this is it gives a Brown Drivers Briggs lexicon entry that you can go and show all for that entry. And it gives an index of where it's used in the Brown Driver Briggs. So we'll go back up here and collapse that back down. It gives a Gesenius, and again, we can read the full entry if we wanted to from Gesenius. And it lists passages where it's used. The reason the Trinitarians and others use echad to mean a compound unity is, for example, the evening and the morning were the first day. You have an evening and you have a morning. You have 2 parts to the one day. Okay. Genesis 1:9. Let's see. Genesis 2:21. And the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept and took one, echad, of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. See, they say he had multiple ribs, but he only took one of those ribs. Genesis 2:24, a very famous one they like to use, very common. The husband and the wife become one flesh. Echad. You have a husband and you have a wife, and they make up the one family. But let's go to Genesis 11:1. And the whole earth was of one echad language and of one echad speech. There were no other languages at that point. Everyone spoke the same language. There was only one language. And on and on. We can see that this word is used 976 times in 739 verses. So we see we don't have enough time to look at every one of these. Now let's do H3162, yachad. And we see that it comes from yachad, H3161. We'll look at that in a minute. And it's used 142 times in the King James translation. Well, actually in the Hebrew, it's used 142 times. I think if we would go to the WLC, the Westminster Leningrad Codex, we would see that that number is the same. This is the ways that it's translated. I find this interesting that it's translated miscellaneous ways 8 times. But it means, wait, it's not a singleness? Oh my. We got a problem here, Houston. Union, unitedness. As a noun, it's a masculine noun. As an adverb, it means together, altogether. Spelled 2 different ways there. Alike. Gotta love the English language. Some carryovers. And again, the Brown Driver Briggs talks about in various ways. Gesenius. We don't have the halot available to us. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together as a unit, one, together. times in that passage, it's used to mean a union or a unity. On and on we see together, 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 alike, on and on. So the idea that echad is a compound unity and yachad or yachad is a singleness, it just doesn't hold up. Strong's H3161. Yachad, the root. It is a primitive root. This is the very root of this word. To join, unite, be joined, be united. Nikal stem, it means to be united. And the peel stem, it means to unite. It's used 3 times. And every one of those 3 times, united, unite, joined. Again, the idea of this word meaning a singularity is just a little bit of twisting. It's a group, like a group of grapes is called a cluster. There's one cluster, but there's many grapes. There's yachad, cluster. So we have to understand that these 2 words are used differently. These 3 words actually are used differently than what the Trinitarians would have us to mean. And it does not mean what they say it means. So as we look at this, let us realize that Adonai is echad. He is one. There is none like him. He is a unique being. And we become yachad, when we join with other believers. So I think we can put to rest this idea that echad means a compound unity always, and yachad and yachad means a singular one. So I pray that this episode of Torah Moments with Gordon has been a benefit to you. And if you find this series beneficial to you, please consider donating to this ministry using CashApp. My username is $, capital G, capital D, capital H, AYES 613. And I will put that online in the comments. And again, blessings from the Almighty as you search out his Torah for truth. And a big thank you to my wife, Dreama, for helping me edit this document. And if you want my PDF of the script, I can get it to you. If you'll just leave me a comment, I'll send it to you, giving me your email that I can send it to, or a mailing address, I guess. I can put a stamp on an envelope still, I believe. So, with that being said, I just want to let you know that I enjoy doing these things with you. And today was a lot longer than 90 seconds. So I'm going to, for real, I'm going to just clip out sections of this and make a 90-second reel. But I'm going to post this on YouTube, as I've been doing, in its entirety for you to look at and hopefully be blessed with. So thank you again, and blessings in the mighty name of our Creator.